You know, we hear the word karma thrown around all the time, right? But what does it actually look like in a real person's life? Today, we're diving into the absolutely incredible story of a Buddhist monk, Luang Pho Charan, who claimed he lived a life where every single karmic receipt, from the tiny to the life-threatening, came due.
And this isn't some abstract philosophical idea for him. Luang Por's account is like a personal ledger of cause and effect. Every action, good or bad, he said, eventually balanced out. And he didn't see it as some cosmic punishment, but as a natural law, just as real and predictable as gravity. So how exactly did this all play out for him? Well, we're going to follow his entire journey. We'll start with some pretty minor stuff he did as a kid and build all the way up to a truly life-shattering accident. We're going to look at the hidden connections he found and, most importantly, the tools he used to navigate it all. Now, you might think Luang Por was always this enlightened monk, right? Well, not exactly. He was a normal guy who got into his fair share of trouble. It was only after years and years of dedicated meditation, vipassana specifically, that his mind got quiet enough to start seeing these threads connecting his current life right back to specific things he did in the past. It was like he was unlocking a hidden memory of his own life's accounting. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. And believe it or not, the first karmic debts that came calling weren't for some huge dramatic event. They started with something as simple as a bowl of noodles and an unpaid ferry ride. So get this, a woman named Mai Klum comes to his temple, totally distraught about her son. As Longpor meditates on it, he has this flash of insight. He realizes this is the exact same woman he cheated out of a few baht for some noodles when he was just a boy. The karmic bill had arrived. So what does he do? He resolves it by paying for her son to become a monk, basically settling the account. The lesson here is pretty stark. Karma doesn't forget, even when we do. And this pattern just keeps popping up. He remembers cheating not one, but two different ferry operators, a man named Ta Koi and a woman named Yai Nam. Decades go by. Then, through his meditation, these memories surface. So he actually seeks them out, finds both of them near death, pays them back with interest, and this is the crucial part, he formally asks for their forgiveness. It's a specific act called a hosakam. Okay, so paying back a few coins, that's one thing. It's settled with cash and a sincere apology. But Luang Por's karmic ledger had some much more serious entries. And the payment for those, well, it was going to be a whole lot higher. And this is where the story takes a really intense turn. Through his meditation, he foresaw that on a very specific day, at a very specific time, a major debt was coming due, and he knew with total certainty that the price was going to be his life. He literally saw it coming 6 months in advance. On October 14th, 1978, he said his goodbyes at the temple, telling people he wouldn't be back. Sure enough, at exactly 12:45 p.m., a tour bus slams into his car. He was launched from the wreck, flying through the air. And then, at the hospital, in one of the most bizarre twists you'll ever hear, a hospital cart he's on gets jolted so hard that it actually snaps his broken neck back into alignment. Just unbelievable. But right after the crash, the result was horrific. He's lying there by the road, totally conscious but completely paralyzed. He knew his neck was broken. He couldn't feel a thing, couldn't see, couldn't hear, but inside his head, his mind was perfectly clear. And this is the core of his story, the big aha moment. Why a broken neck? Of all the possible injuries, why that? He remembered clear as day. As a young man, he used to hunt birds with a slingshot. And when he'd shoot one, he would just walk over, pick it up, and nonchalantly snap its neck. The consequence was a literal, terrifying mirror image of the cause. A broken neck for a broken neck. But here's the thing, surviving the crash, that wasn't the end of it, not by a long shot. It was like that one event threw open the floodgates, and all these other karmic debts started demanding payment, one right after the other. It was like he paid the principal, and now the compound interest was coming due. So as they're trying to get him out of the wreckage, the car's radiator cap blows, a geyser of boiling hot water shoots out, and somehow, in all the chaos, it scalds only him, drenching his paralyzed body in this searing pain. And boom, just like that, his mind makes another connection. He flashes back to a time in his youth when some drunkards paid him to boil turtles alive for them to eat. The absolute terror and agony of being boiled alive, the suffering he inflicted on those creatures,
was now coming back to him. 50. For 50 days after the accident, while he was supposed to be recovering, one more very strange and very specific problem took hold of him, and it fulfilled a dark prophecy from his own childhood. Say, as a kid, he used to sneak and steal the food his grandmother had carefully prepared as offerings for the monks. She caught him once and warned him, "You do that, and you will become a preta, a hungry ghost with a mouth the size of a needle's eye." Now, decades later, with his jaw locked tight from the neck injury, her words became his reality. For 50 days, he couldn't open his mouth to eat. He was starving, fed only by a thin straw, living out the exact curse he'd brought upon himself. So, you're probably thinking, how on earth did anyone endure all this? Well, this is the crucial part. This isn't just a story about suffering, it's a story about understanding. And Luang Pho used the very same mental practices that revealed the debts to help him endure their repayment.
The first big tool was sati, or mindfulness. Now, this wasn't about zoning out or trying to escape the pain. No way. For him, it was about staying with it, observing it with total clarity. And it was that clear seeing that allowed him to understand why it was happening. It turned what would have been random, meaningless suffering into a profound lesson.
The second tool was ahosikam, that formal act of asking for forgiveness. Remember the ferryman? This is so important because it shows he wasn't just a passive victim of his karma. He took active steps to resolve it, to make things right. It suggests that while karma is a law, our intentions and our actions today can actually engage with and settle the accounts of the past. So when you put it all together, what are the big takeaways from this absolutely wild life story? Well, first, that karma, at least as he experienced it, is an incredibly precise law. It's not random. Second, mindfulness is the flashlight that lets us see these hidden connections in our own lives. And finally, through our actions right now, we actually have the power to resolve the past and start building a better future. In the end, Luang Pho didn't just see his survival as a lucky break. He saw it as a responsibility. He decided to spend the rest of his life not just balancing his own books, but repaying a much larger debt to the world by teaching these exact principles. He literally transformed his own incredible pain into a roadmap for others. And that really leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? His story is this incredibly detailed map of his past, but for us, it's a question about our future. It kind of invites us to look at our own actions today, the small stuff, the big stuff, not as just fleeting moments, but as the very seeds of everything that is yet to come.